As trial of Istanbul 10 and Chair of Amnesty Turkey resumes, more than 70 signatories to open letter call for case against 11 human rights activists to be dropped. Chair of Amnesty UK, Ruth Breddal, to observe trial today. Mask demo outside Turkish Embassy in London, 11 a.m. 12 p.m. More than 70 prominent cultural and political figures have signed a new open letter calling on the Turkish authorities to drop trumpedup terrorism charges against 11 human rights activists, including Amnesty International's Turkey director and chair. The call, supported by weiwei, Edward Snowden, Anish Kapoor, Catherine Deneuve, Angelique Kidjo, Indira Varma, Tim Farron, Bianca Jagger, Canon Mark Oakley, Hilary Benn, Juliet Stevenson and Peter Greste, amongst others, comes as the trial of the 11 resumes today, the 22nd of November in Istanbul, 10 a.m. local time, on charges carrying jail terms of up to 15 years. In the letter, see text and list of signatories below. The group say they're proud to add their voices to the global demand to end this gross injustice. Amnesty's Turkey chair, Taner Kilic, was arrested on the 6th of June, jailed 3 days later and remains in detention. Meanwhile, 10 other activists, including Idil Eser, the director of Amnesty Turkey, were detained a month later. 7 of them were remanded in Turkey's high-security Silivri prison for almost 4 months, with 1 remanded in Ankara's Sincan prison. The 8 were held for almost 4 months and released last month at their first hearing. They are all accused of membership of a terrorist organization. Ruth Breddal, Amnesty International UK's chair, who is going to be part of an Amnesty delegation in Turkey on Wednesday to observe proceedings, said it's been really shocking to see our Amnesty colleagues in Istanbul hauled before the courts and appalling to see the crackdown in Turkey spread its tentacles into so many areas of Turkish life. We need to see an end to the arbitrary roundups of human rights activists and journalists in Turkey, and for charges to be dropped against them unless there's clear evidence that an actual crime has been committed. Standing up for human rights shouldn't be a matter for the courts, and nor should working as a journalist. The sooner this ridiculous case against our hardworking colleagues in Turkey is brought to an end, the better. Amnesty and representatives of various trade unions will stage a demonstration outside the Turkish Embassy in London between 11:12 p.m. noon today, the 22nd of November, at which protesters wearing Taner Kilic face masks will demand an end to the case. Allegations against Taner Kilic. Mr. Kilic is alleged to have downloaded and used the Bilock messaging application, which the prosecution has claimed was used by the Gulen movement to communicate with each other. However, 2 independent forensic analyses of Kilic's phone commissioned by Amnesty found no trace of Bilock ever having been on his phone. To date, the prosecution hasn't provided any evidence to support their claim. The forensic expert who prepared the detailed Amnesty reports is expected to appear at the trial on the 22nd of November. Istanbul Human Rights Workshop raided the Istanbul 10 were attending a workshop on well-being and digital security on the 5th of July when police raided the building and detained them all. On the 4th of October, an Istanbul prosecutor filed an indictment against the Istanbul 10 and Taner Kilic, who, it is claimed, was aware of preparations for the workshop and was in contact with Idil Eser and another of the defendants. At his trial on the 26th of October, the judge accepted the prosecutor's application to join Kilic's case with that of the other 10. The 10 activists are Idil Eser, Amnesty International, Günal Kursun Human Rights Agenda Association, Aslam Dalkaran and Nalan Erkam Citizens Assembly, VEACU Human Rights Agenda Association, Ali Garavi IT Consultant, Peter Stutner Nonviolence and Wellbeing Trainer, Ilnur Ustan Women's Coalition, Samus Özbekli Rights Initiative and Necip Tastin Association for Monitoring Equal Rights. Globally, more than 700,000 people have supported Amnesty's campaign for the release of Kilic and the dropping of the charges against the Istanbul 10. Campaigners are currently supporting the 11 via Amnesty's Right for Rights campaign. Growing list of those calling for end to case. The 70-plus signatories to the open letter join a long list of governments, institutions and political figures to have demanded Kilic's release, including the European Commission, the U.S. State Department, UN officials, Angela Merkel and the German government, as well as the Austrian, Irish and Belgian governments. Meanwhile, more than 30 UK MPs have signed a parliamentary motion calling for the immediate release of Kilic and the dropping of charges against all 11. This follows similar calls last month by 22 members of the U.S. Congress, including 14 senators, as well as the Secretary-General of the Council of Europe, Thorbjorn Jagland, the President of the European Parliament, Antonio Tajani, and the Chair of the Human Rights Committee in the European Parliament, Pier Antonio Panzeri. Last month in Parliament, Prime Minister Theresa May said the UK government was publicly calling on Turkey to protect freedom of expression and to release those defending human rights. Open letter ahead of trial of Taner Kilik and Istanbul 10 on Wednesday. The trial of 11 human rights defenders including Taner Kilik and Idil Eser, the chair and director of Amnesty International Turkey, will resume in Istanbul. The 11 face outlandish terrorism charges in what can only be described as a politically motivated prosecution aimed at silencing critical voices within the country. If convicted, they could face jail terms of up to 15 years. This sends a chilling message not just to people in Turkey but around the world, with many people unfairly imprisoned as part of the crackdown following the bloody coup attempt in Turkey, including journalists, lawyers and civil society leaders. Some may ask, why focus on these 11 people? The answer is simple: when human rights defenders are silenced, all our rights are put at risk. They are the ones that stand up for us. Now we must stand up for them. We are proud to add our voices to the global demand to end this gross injustice and to immediately and unconditionally release Taner Kilik from jail. The Turkish authorities must know that the eyes of the world will be on Istanbul's central court for this trial. We will not stay silent. Defending human rights is not a crime. Signed, Edward Snowden, human rights activist Catherine Deneuve, actor Ai Weiwei, artist Angelique Kidjo, Ian Anish Kapoor, artist Peter Gabriel, Ian Francois Morel, actor Elif Shafak, author Bianca Jagger, human rights activist Juliet Stevenson, actor Indira Varma, actor Mogans Ligatoft MP, ex-president of the UN General Assembly Nacho Sanchez Amor, OSCE Human Rights Committee Chair Mirosław Wysakowski, constitutional judge, Poland Dr. Shashi Tharoor MP, former UN Under-Secretary General Ryan Gage, actor Pasha Bikari, actor Nazanin Boniati, actor HK, Ian Sting, Ian Anti-Flag, Ian C215, artist Lucas Belvo, filmmaker Laurent Gade, writer El Mustache Chimgaoua, artist Said Salhi, vice president of LADDH Algeria Salil Shetty, Amnesty International Secretary General Ken Roth, executive director, Human Rights Watch Claude Roland MP Belgium Tanita Tikarim, Ian Mohammed Fahmy, journalist Peter Greste, journalist Mark Oakley, Canon Chancellor of St. Paul's Cathedral Peter Tatchell, human rights defender Natasha Regnier, actor Frank Pavlov, writer Emily Loiseau, Ian Roman Goupil, film director Nicholas Lambert, comedian Clotilde Carrao, comedian David Lammy MP, Caroline Lucas MP, Stephen McCabe MP, Tom Brake MP, Catherine West MP, Carol Monahan MP, Joan Ryan MP, Christopher Stevens MP, Clive Lewis MP, Joe Stevens MP, Kerry McCarthy MP, Richard Burden MP, Kevin Brennan MP, Jim Cunningham MP, Rosie Cooper MP, Eleanor Smith MP, West Reading MP, Stephen Dowdy MP, Daniel Zeichner MP, Stephen Kinnock MP, Garrett Davies MP, Marie Rimmer MP, Graham Morris MP, Antoinette Sandbach MP, Madeline Moon MP, Tanya Anthony Ozzie MP, Preet Gill MP, Philippa Whitford MP, Sarah Wollaston MP, Gareth Thomas MP, Emma Dentcode MP, Hilary Benn MP, Tommy Shepard MP, Olivier P.Y., France Paul Rondon, France Monica Plotek, President of the Polish Association for Legal Education Adam Bednar, former Board of United Nations Fund for Victims of Torture Mikołaj Pietrzak, former Chair of the Human Rights Council of the Polish Bar Council Krzysztof Misiak, co-founder of Polish Society of Anti-Discrimination Law.